So he came to me and was like, yo, I can only cut you a third of the money I'm supposed to give you. I said, you know what, man, I want to do these songs. You know what I'm saying?
See, Craig Mack used to come up in the studio, man, by himself. You know, so or have man that whoever was driving him, whoever he was riding with, he used to come over in the studio by himself.
Did you hear about the drama between Diddy and Craig Mack? Word on the street is that Diddy couldn't stand Craig. In fact, Diddy's own bodyguard, Ken, gave us a t-shirt that ties into the whole story. But this isn't your typical celebrity feud. We're talking about a music mogul who helped launch an up-and-coming artist, only to toss him aside when Craig's talent started shining too bright. It's a case of ego clashing with brilliance. Ready to dive into this juicy story?
I got with somebody, you know what I'm saying? I'm not going to say their names, I'm just going to say somebody that wanted to do another album with me. So I said, cool, I gave him my price, and the price was, to me, was low. You know, and they were supposed to give me the money. And I go in the studio and I start banging out. So he came to me and was like, yo, I can only cut you a third of the money I'm supposed to give you. I said, you know what, man, I want to do these songs. You know what I'm saying? If you're going to do this and that and the third, let's do it. You give me the money as we go. You know what I'm saying? I'll take a third again. I'll take a third again when we finish the actual recording of the album. Nothing happened. No money. So I stopped recording. I said, I'm not going to be an idiot and sit here and do all this stuff for everybody, and I'm not going to see anything from it. You know? Next thing I know, money comes, with this bullish mafia mentality with him and his goons and all that stuff like that. Talking about, yo, you owe us an album. And I'm like, excuse my French, but I don't owe you shit. You owe me money. You know what I'm saying? So if you can come up with the rest of this dough, then we can come up with the rest of the album. No dough, no records. That's it. I don't think you know what you mean when you're saying that, man. You know what I'm saying? You know what type of dude I am. You know what kind of muscle I got. You know what I'm saying? Right now, you need to be in the studio. So I said, all right, meet me up there at 7 o'clock. And I went and got one of my gunmen. My man, I'm not going to mention his name either. He came with me up there. Okay? And they saw him, and they fell back, because they was going to do something to me. But they didn't. So we talked about it, came to definite, look, no cash, no record. I'm not going to be sitting here going in the studio all night, every night, busting my ass, and I ain't seeing nothing from it. And you're making me feel like, even if you did have the rest of that cash, us taking it to the next level is going to be a problem, because it's going to be money problems. I can see it already. So I caught a couple of threats, a couple of, passers-by in the street and everything else. I caught a couple of threats. And I was sitting there, going to pick up my sister from work. And I'm in her car. I'm driving her car to go pick her up from work. And I just was sitting in the chair, and I was like, God, I'm so tired of everything that's going on. I was in my sister. I called my sister, because we've known each other for so long. You know what I'm saying? It's like brother and sister, But I was in my sister's car, and I had a gun in my lap. And I'm sitting there and I'm talking to God. I'm like, Lord, I don't want to do this. But if it comes to getting ugly where somebody's going to be trying to kill me, I'm going to have to do something first, or do something to prevent that from happening. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, I'm frustrated. I really need your advice and your love right now. And I started flipping around the radio station, 660 AM or FM, one of the stations where the Supreme team used to be on. Early in the morning, and the dudes from Upper Hempstead would have that joints blasting. So I was looking for that. And when I turned the station, all this gospel music came on. And it was this song I've never heard before in my life ever, but I knew that it was God talking to me. You know what I'm saying? Because of the way it made me feel emotionally. I broke down, started crying all over the place in the car. And I'm sorry. I was thinking about trying to do this to somebody, because it was really in my heart to kill him. You know what I'm saying? I was going to do it. But I knew in my conscience also that that's not the right thing you're supposed to be.
Let me take you back to the height of Craig Mack's career, when he was Diddy's golden boy, shining brighter than a new diamond. Back then, Diddy was all smiles, and Craig was the name on everyone's lips. Imagine Craig dropping a hit so fiery it felt like a musical explosion. Everybody was hooked on his rhythm, his flow, and his swagger. At one point, it felt like Diddy was Craig's biggest fan. Picture him strutting around like a proud dad at a kindergarten graduation, bragging about Craig like he was the eighth wonder of the world. "Look at my boy," Diddy would say, hyping him up like Craig was his shiny new toy. Craig's music was everywhere, blasting on the radio, in the clubs, even in your mom's car. But success has its complications. According to Diddy's Bodyguard, Diddy's obsession with Craig started shifting. At first, it seemed like Craig could do no wrong in Diddy's eyes. Then, little by little, things changed. One moment Diddy was all smiles, the next, he was side-eyeing Craig like he'd just stolen the last cookie from the jar. Craig, meanwhile, was living the dream. With platinum records flying off the shelves and money rolling in, he thought he was set for life. But while he was soaking in the spotlight, storm clouds were brewing. Diddy's smiles grew tighter, and his once warm embrace started to chill. Little did Craig know, his rise to fame was stirring up envy where he least expected it.
Mentioned Shine, Craig Mack, and G-Dub. We already spoke about Shine in the last interview, so we don't have to speak on that. But Craig Mack, what was the reason for the fallout between him and Puffy?
I think it had more to do with his management. See, back in those days, bro, I think a lot of the guys who were managing and having managers, they was using guys that were close to them that really probably didn't know the business that well. See, Mace had a manager named Cuda, and Cuda knew the business, whereas the Mace got a damn good contract on his first contract. And I was hearing that Mace's first contract was better than Big's contract. You understand what I'm saying? So now, Craig Mack manager may have known a little bit more about the business than Puff thought he should have. And Puff told Craig Mack, and I was there when he said, yo, if you don't get rid of your manager, I ain't fucking with you no more.
There was trouble brewing, but what exactly? According to Diddy's Bodyguard, it started small. Diddy began making excuses, claiming he was busy or tied up in meetings to avoid being around Craig. But the streets were buzzing with a different story. Diddy had found someone else to focus on. And just like that, Craig was no longer the favorite. That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Who replaced Craig? But before we get to that, let me tell you something even juicier. Diddy wasn't just stepping back, he was frustrated with Craig for being too self-reliant. Apparently, Craig's ability to handle setbacks on his own rubbed Diddy the wrong way. The real drama, though? It was just getting started, and trust me, it was messier than a toddler with spaghetti. The Bodyguard spilled some tea, saying he overheard Diddy on a late-night phone call, venting that Craig was too independent and didn't need him enough. Craig was about to learn the hard way that in the music industry, your biggest supporter can quickly turn into your fiercest rival. True colors were about to be revealed, and let's just say, they weren't looking pretty.